A time for change, to unmask the truth, to unmask the rot in our communities. Unmasking the Truth will focus on the effects of corruption on women, prefer solution and demand for accountability. Unmasking the Truth will be on this radio station every first Monday by 5:30 p.m. And we ask you to join us to condemn corruption, to demand for accountability, and to work together for a better Nigeria. Unmasking the Truth is an initiative of St. Ives Communications in partnership with Voice of Women and supported by the MacArthur Foundation. On 26 October 2022, the Central Bank of Nigeria announced the introduction of the redesigned 200 Naira, 500 Naira, and 1,000 Naira note into the financial system. However, since this new notes were revealed, Nigerian women have had a hard time getting cash due to confusion caused by the scarcity of the new note. The scarcity of the Naira has more devastating effect on women in rural and non-banking communities. In states like Borno, Kano, Adamawa, Jos, Kwara, there is a drastic drop in the prices of perishable goods as well as business activities in the market. Market women have now been forced to either close their shops or sell on debt as online banking is nearly impossible for them. Some now do trade by barter. You can imagine how difficult this situation is. This hardship is too much. Unmasking the Truth today on your radio station will focus on the Naira redesign, lack of Naira, and how it affects rural women. My name is Esther Alaribi. Unmasking the Truth is an initiative of St. Ives Communications in partnership with Voice of Women and supported by the MacArthur Foundation. We spoke to women who told us about the lack of the Naira note and how it is affecting them and their businesses. This is what they have to say.
Scarcity of cash at hand is really affecting women a lot in the community. Being that when our children want to be going to school in the morning, at least they want to buy biscuits, and for us to have a cash to buy these things, petty things in our community, we find it difficult because people that are selling these petty things, they don't have access to POS to be doing their businesses. So we are praying to government
to get new Naira note now na hot cake. You know, easy. When I did night shift, one work na wahala. Na only old Naira notes where I get. In fact, the drivers giving tell you say if you don't get new Naira notes, make it come down. The government try. He then try for us to
put it ọjà mi pátápátá. Kéèyàn wà kó dúró látàárọ̀ torí pé a lè gba old note kéèyàn má pa 500 naira ẹni tó ti ń pa 25,000 tẹ́lẹ̀. Bó la ṣe ṣe irú eléyìí sí? Ẹ lọ sọ́jà ẹ fẹ́ rajà. Kò sówó téèyàn fẹ́ mú lọ. Èèyàn lè jẹun téèyàn fẹ́ torí kò sówó téèyàn fẹ́ ná lọ́wọ́ èèyàn. Ó dàbí nǹkan o.
As you have heard, women in the rural area are really suffering from this Naira scarcity, and almost all businesses have been affected by the cash scarcity. My guest today is Professor Joy Ezilo, founder of Women Aid Collective, and she's going to be shedding light on how to address this issue. How are you doing today, Professor Ezilo?
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you for joining us today.
I just want to say, unfortunately, I didn't hear the reaction of the women, and it might be difficult to comment on what they have said because
okay.
When that was turned on, I had nothing, from my end.
Oh, okay, so I'll just do a brief recap. So these women are having to complain about how it is difficult for them to give cash to their children. A particular woman complained about how she would go to her place of business and all through the day she would not be able to make up to 500 naira because people don't have cash to patronize her. And this was not what her business used to be like before. And some other woman also complained about having to use commercial vehicles and she doesn't have cash to pay. And this has been causing a lot of troubles, especially for business women who rely on cash transactions to run their businesses. Some of them don't have bank accounts. Some of them don't have the platform for online banking. So what this means is when you go to them and you don't have cash, they cannot sell to you. So they are also losing on this side. So, Professor Ezilo, in your opinion, is the new Naira, this Naira redesign, is it working?
I may say yes and no, because
okay.
I wouldn't just say it's not about is it working. The issue is that the CBN and the federal government told us about the Naira design and redesign, and then they had a timeline, and they kept to the timeline, and then there was also executive order extending the timeline to April with regard to 200 Naira notes, and I believe that eased it off a bit, but it didn't really solve all the problems. Now we have a Supreme Court judgment that has further made it possible for the new Naira to coexist, the redesigned Naira to coexist with the old both 500, 1,000, and not just 200 till 31st of December 2023. So I believe in a few days' time that will be rolled out, and then again it will help in mitigating the current hardship. Undoubtedly, there has been a lot of hardship on everybody, not just the market women, but you can imagine for the informal economy, and where you have women predominantly trading in rural areas who never had a bank account, majority of them don't have bank accounts, they don't have the phone and the apps, and how to use, and then also to receive money through other means, So it is difficult when you move beyond the city to get to rural areas to really find, people doing businesses. So yes, there have been a lot of loss. You can imagine if a woman is selling vegetable that she has farmed or is into food, subsistency, providing food for the family, it will be difficult if they don't have the cash for them to do business. And then because they don't have bank accounts, some of them can't also just say they are going to the bank to queue for the money. But for those who have bank accounts, it is easier, even though they have to go through a lot in order to get some money. So we can see, even me, we all go to market, and I know that even people previously, you can buy things and pay and start paying by transfers or POS. That's what we do. That's what we do these days. And then some you will find where women are together. It's almost like a cooperative, and one woman is collecting money for all. So, and I was just wondering what a nightmare for them to recalculate and make sure everybody gets their money. But some are just finding unique ways of dealing with it. But it's not everywhere, because in some places it might just be almost intractable to deal with. But I'm really looking forward that things might ease up a bit, and because everything was just made hard, even for those who are buying fuel. But for some people, already they were cashless, so to speak, before this time. But that's for highly educated people live in the city. But for the people in rural area, they never got to that stage, and it could have taken a while for them to, because rural banking, you will notice that because of also online banking, even banks are closing their branches in rural areas that will have served these people, that will have helped. So not only and I think, even going forward, there should be a social responsibility on banks. I'm not talking of CBN now, but even ordinary banks, that they must be also sited in rural areas. They must be able to, to serve the people. And then also, because they are not serving the people, and then also thinking of the digital divide between rural and urban area, and in terms of infrastructure, and it's a double digit. But if they are located there through satellite, they can do some of these things, and they could be the one using this POS and helping people. I know, yes, the problems are even on the part of banks. Some of them will say, "Oh, we are not charities. We are just existing to do profit, to make profit." And if a branch is not profitable, they think of how they can close it. But I think we have to look beyond those, because that's why it should be a corporate social responsibility. And even if in terms of tax deductions for those kind of banks that set up this rural banking, they should really enjoy tax deduction in respect of that for everyone that they set up. I think this will really help. But if we just think without any incentive, it will be difficult. And it's really, really, I know some families, who can't feed simply because they don't have the cash flow. So it has become a problem for all. And I pray that, I'm hoping that even after this election and with the recent decision, there was a little bit of minimal improvement with the 200 naira that Mr. President ordered to remain in use. Exactly. So the banks immediately started giving it out, and people were collecting it, and you can see it dominates almost all businesses these days. So I hope that that we can also get more of that in order to ensure that our rural economy doesn't collapse and that women in informal economy continue to survive because most of them are female-headed household and they are in charge of food security in their families.
Right.
And if they have this food crisis and insecurity, and it will affect their sustainable livelihood, and that's what I think is a paramount that in terms of programming, even in future, that they will think about how how any program or policy will affect men and women differently, and then also will affect people in urban and rural areas differently. That will also affect different strata of societies and communities. When they think of if that is well thought out, and then the gender analysis done, then it will have helped to cushion some of the effects. Because I think the idea behind the redesign is good, and then but what most people are complaining about is about a time frame, to ensure that it doesn't pose this hardship that people started saying.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Professor Ezilu. Now, Unmasking the Truth looks at the effect of corruption from the gender lens. Let's go back to the street to get more comments from other women on the cash scarcity and how it has been difficult for them and how it's been affecting them and their businesses.
Naira Redesign has really affected me seriously because people cannot come and buy things again. You can imagine me that can sell close to 20 to 25,000 naira daily, sometimes close to 30. I cannot make even 2,000 daily now. So the thing is disheartening.
Ọ̀rọ̀ owó tuntun tó wà ní ìgboro sì ó jẹ́ nǹkan tó le fún àwọn obìnrin pẹ̀lú àwọn ọmọ. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ obìnrin ní àwùjọ ló yìí ní owó tá à ń ná tẹ́lẹ̀ pé wọ́n fi ń ra ọjà. A bẹ̀ àwọn ìjọba kí wọ́n fetí sí ohun ẹ̀bẹ̀ àwọn obìnrin nítorí pé owó yìí jẹ́ nǹkan pàtàkì láàrin àwùjọ wa.
Well, the thing don't really affect my business because as it be now, no money anywhere. Queue dey plenty for bank. If person go there, you go stand tire. And another thing be say, then they sell money give person. Even if you go to bank, they go sell some bank, then they sell money give you. Your own money that you go buy up. So this one don't affect my business. So they plan to shut down.
So that's one woman there trying to close down her business for now, maybe until when the cash flow gets better, then she'll be back in business. Professor Ezilu, what can be done to resolve this challenge to review?
Unfortunately, I didn't hear that, and I wonder why. Is there a technical issue from your end?
I don't know, but okay.
Yeah.
You were not able to hear at all?
Not even a word, it's just silent, complete silent. And then I had them first time, so it must be that it wasn't switched, in a way I can hear that because I had the opening statement before I joined. Yeah, so I can't also comment if I haven't had what.
So yes, I'll do a rundown of that. Different women having to raise concerns about how profit has been low, people don't get to patronize them anymore. And this woman who spoke last, whose comment I picked up, saying that she might just have to close her business because it is getting difficult to run this business day in, day out. I mean, think about people who get to sell their wares on the road, roadside vendors. These people some of them don't even have capital as much as 20,000 naira. So when you get to patronize them, you probably buy something of 500 naira or 1,000 naira to them, then you're asking them to give you their bank account details so you can make transfer. All of these things put together, it makes life difficult for them. And this woman who's already thinking about closing her business, think about the kind of hardship it's going to further put her family in. So how do we resolve this challenge to ensure that these women still have access and taking a clue from what you've said on the judgment from the Supreme Court, and that we're hoping that the CBN follows suit or the federal government also gives a word on this one to make life better for women and Nigerians at large?
I think anyway, we wouldn't advise closing business, but unless it becomes too impracticable. The issue is that just to express our frustration But people, like I said, some people are just spending carefully with little cash they have. And then if there are people then they can still get on credit and their names are written and they're hoping they will be able to pay. Or she find people with POS where she can begin to receive the money. But of course, people are also complaining about the charges of some of these. They are just marking up and prices for people, now making it even also difficult to people. If you buy something 1,000, if somebody takes 200 on top of it and make it 1,200, I mean, it's not also desirable. But then you will also see certain instances where if you have cash, then you pay less. So people are just really worried that But I think that's the reality. That's the reality of what is happening across all parts of Nigeria, and it could be worse in rural areas. But I hope that people, again, is also for not just women's group, but government, federal ministries of women affairs, state ministries of women affairs, all the other that are concerned, to start also encouraging women to open accounts. I mean, I have had to personally talk to, there was someone I usually buy, if you're from this part of the world, or buy, it's very a delicacy, and we normally buy something, you pay for 200 naira for one wrap and 100, and then you buy higher, maybe 5, you don't even get unless the whole family is eating, and then you don't have cash to get it. And we were trying to transfer to one of the retailers, and they say, "Oh no, I don't have a bank account." And then I said, "No, what do you need? We have to help you. This is this. Do you have this? Go to this thing. Have your national ID, NIN. You do have your voter's card." He said, "Yes." I said, "With this voter's card, you can open an account." And I helped. In doing that, I had also some of the people that work for me, and then people are just encouraging them to open an account. So with that, when you open an account, it also kind of makes it a little bit easier to transact business and to receive also transfer. So we need to continue to sensitize our rural community and women in particular here. Because it also makes sense. I was really surprised, given also the volume of sale. I know this particular vendor, what she makes on that doesn't even have an account, and she's not even an older woman. And I was surprised that she doesn't. I said, "So for these years I've known you don't have a bank account." So I was worried about how she was growing her business. So it then means that all she's been selling, she may be selling at a loss. I was just really, to tell you, I was completely familiar. I said, you at this level, and sometimes people, you carry goods worth of 50,000 naira, 40, 50, 30, and then so every day you never had account all these years. So it is something really, very serious. And this person is actually living in a city, like Enugu City. So it's not even a rural area. So that will tell you that there are people completely outside a formal economy. And some of these, this also is also why maybe gender doesn't count, or when we're talking of women in development and what finally will come into calculation of gross domestic product and things like that, and women's work, they hardly count because they are not actually channeled into formal economy. Yes, so understood that they are looking for big monies and looking for big businesses that people can come and deposit. They should also look at some of these retailers, some of these artisans, and then help a lot of them to open bank accounts and have also ATM card, and then have also possibility and even be giving out POS. Like this person, they're selling every day. She'll be able to have POS, where she can, transact her business, on her own. So it's just education around that. They need a lot of financial education, and I believe this is part of financial inclusion. They need also education on economy and feminist economy, and that is very important. And we're not even getting there. And it is work of civil society organization. Is also part of what I expect the private sector to champion, and then also women's group.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor Izilu. Unmasking the Truth on your radio station is an initiative of St. Ives Communication in partnership with Voice of Women and supported by the MacArthur Foundation. It is important that we hear more voices. Let's hear from the women what they have to say.
The transfer is not going. Some of the banks' apps are not working. We have a loads of money hanging out there now that people who claim that they've done transfer. Actually, they may have debited them, showing it to us, but the money did not come into our account. It has slowed all our activities. So my own advice is that whoever that offended them or they want to use this policy to punish, at least they should consider we the masses.
ọ̀rọ̀ owó náírà tó ṣẹlẹ̀ báyìí tí a rí owó ná àárọ̀jà lọ gbà tí a bá ń gbẹ́jà sórí gbá táàrẹ ni wàá rà tọ́wọ́ lọ fẹ́ ṣe transfer tí transfer ò ní wọlé gbogbo ẹ̀ kàn tí gbogbo ẹ̀ ti sú wa àwọn méjì wọn lọ skul owó tó fẹ́ fi wọ mọ́tò dà ìjọba ẹ ṣàánú ẹ ràn wá lọ́wọ́ o ẹ jọ̀ọ́ o ìyà yìí pọ̀ jù ẹ ṣàánú wa o.
Well, the thing wey I wan make government do be say if e go dey possible make dem allow this new naira note make e circulate, but as dem dey allow am make e circulate, make dem still give us more time make we dey use the old naira note and the new one.
So yes, different women having different comments on how it affects them differently. Now, Professor Ezili, let's talk about going forward. The need to consider women and people in rural communities when certain policies are made. Because if we had looked at these policies on how it affects people differently, maybe we would have had a rethink, or the time frame would have been extended to accommodate people in these communities.
Yes, I agree. That's why we talk about gender analysis of policies and programs of government to make sure that it works for all. And then again, mapping that understands the people and economy and how things affect people based on location and where they are, and based also on gender, and then all of that is important. And I believe that no doubt that in the end, yes, Nigeria will be better for it if we go more cashless. It will also help even in fighting corruption. But at the same time, we need to have we need to have more of the new redesign money, and then we hope that with this recirculation of the old ones that have been authorized by the Supreme Court judgment, that we're going to have a lot more in circulation. But going forward, yes, very, very imperative that every policy, not just this one, there's a lot of policies that comes up even every day with programs. They never take into account how that will affect men and women, boys and girls, and rural and urban, all those, divide and polarize. We need to take them into account.
Okay.
And if we don't, then this is the effect. That's why we have this kind of effect. Whereas it's okay for some people, some may not have even, if you're in the city, virtually you pay for almost everything. You can go to supermarket to buy meat instead of market and everything. But if you're not in that city and with that level of education and access to formal banking, then it's impossible. So we can understand where they are coming from and their complaints. And everyone has got their job cut out. Those in non-state actors, state actors, and those in private sector. And it has to be part of corporate social responsibility to make sure also that they lift some of these people up and get them into formal economy. We have huge informal economy. It's not going to disappear overnight. It will continue to actually exist, but at the same time that they can have formal channels for exchange of money and not back to trade by barter.
Yeah, true. Thank you so much, Professor Joy Ezili. Thank you for joining us on the conversation this morning.
All right, thank you.
All right, do have a wonderful day.
Okay, bye.
And yes, that was my guest, Professor Joy Ezili, founder, Women Aid Collective, and she's been able to unmask the truth on corruption with me today. We feel the pains of our market women who are experiencing low sales because customers do not have cash to buy. We've heard their complaints. We've heard different comments this morning on how it affects them. We're calling on the government, stakeholders in the financial sector to bring quick and sustainable solution and relief to Nigerians, especially Nigerian women in rural community and business women, small business owners who depend on cash for their transactions. So we can see like a headway on all of these challenges caused by the lack of Naira notes, so that normal social and economic activities can return immediately and everything goes back to normal. And yes, we get to see the overall productivity in our society. If you have a story on corruption in your community that you would like us to talk about, do well to send us your comment by text or WhatsApp to 070-317-56537. Unmasking the Truth on Effects of Corruption from the Gender Lens is an initiative of St. Ives Communications in partnership with Voice of Women and supported by the MacArthur Foundation. Thank you to the producer, Taiwo Adeleye, and the executive producer, Tonwo Kewale Shunaya. My name is Esther Alaribe.
WFM 91.7.